Crimson Trace offers a free Batteries for Life program that includes nearly all laser sights, electronic sights, and rifle scopes. Just register your product for a free set of batteries each year at crimsontrace.com.
Today on Tom Gresham's Gun Talk. The Gun Talk crew has the scoop on some news and interesting guns, ammo, and training tools. Plus, a legal defense network for gun owners, the importance of upcoming elections in Virginia, a group within the firearms industry examining gun negligence and suicide prevention, and more. And as always, call 866-TALK-GUN with your comments, questions, and range reports. And now, here's Tom.
Alrighty, let's do this thing. Tom Gresham here. It's Gun Talk. We're going to be talking about guns for hours and hours and hours. Well, that's what we do. Not just during the show. We basically talk about guns all the time. Yeah, there you go. If you'd like to be a part of this, it's really easy. And first hour here would be a good time for you to jump in. Our number is 866-TALK-GUN, or just dial Tom Talk Gun. I just got out of the mountains. I was up in Idaho at our little cabin up there. Got snowed on, got blown out of camp almost. It was, got nasty for a while there. Saw a lot of deer. Did not get a deer. There's a story there we'll tell you about as we go along. But sure had fun lugging some rifles around up there and just having a good time. It was instructive, and I'll pass that along, but also looking for your range reports. If you've been out hunting, it is that time of year. Doesn't matter if it's bird, small game, deer, elk, doesn't matter what it is. If you've been on a hunt, let us know. We'd love to hear that. It is always fun to go see the new stuff. And, nobody ever walks up to you and says, hey, what's old? Everybody says, what's new? And we were recently, like a couple of weeks ago now, at the NASGW show. That's the National Association of Sporting Goods Wholesalers, the firearms distributors, the middlemen, if you will, when gun companies sell to them and they sell to dealers, they sell to the retailers. And joining me right now to talk about that is Ryan Gresham from Gun Talk Media. And Ryan, you had this booth set up there, we did, and you've spent like 3 days just interviewing people and finding out what's new, what's going on. First of all, kind of explain NASGW, because it's not even like SHOT Show. Yep. I mean, there are a lot of people are there, but you don't really get to see stuff.
Yeah, it's an inside the baseball kind of show, inside the industry, behind the scenes.
Yeah. Actually, everything's behind closed doors.
Actually, a lot of it is. The booth is, some of those booths are little cones of loneliness or something like that.
They're kind of meeting rooms, really.
Yeah, they're just meeting rooms with walls, and this is where really for a lot of gun companies, ammo, scopes, all those manufacturers, it's where they start planning for next year.
Right.
And they're talking with all their distributor partners. And as you mentioned, these distributors sell to the 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 brick and mortar gun stores out there.
Right.
And they're kind of the sales force and warehouse for a lot of these gun companies, because probably most of the big names that, if you're a gun guy, most of the big names you think of are at this show, and they sell that way through two-step distribution.
Right. The major companies are going to be there. You're going to see, Ruger's there, Smith's there, SIG's there. A lot of these major
Remington.
Companies. There are some gun manufacturers that do sell direct to dealer, and they're generally not there because that's not their distribution method. But you're going to see most of them. But what is interesting at this show is you got to remember the timing. This is actually in late October. The SHOT Show is not until mid-January,
right?
Where traditionally that's where everything was introduced. But now it seems like a lot of companies bring things out throughout the year, but especially this time of year. So you got to see some things. You got to talk to people about some interesting stuff, some of which you can talk about now.
Right.
Some of which they said, okay, we can show you to you, but you can't talk about it yet.
Yeah, come in this back room and we'll show you this thing, but don't tell anyone.
Yeah, you got to sign the non-disclosure agreement, so you're signing NDAs all day long.
Yeah, so we have a Gun Talk Media. We actually have a booth there set up to do a bunch of filming and a lot of live broadcast. And we're broadcasting that. We're on the radio today, but these are actually live video broadcasts, simulcast across the Gun Talk YouTube and Gun Talk Facebook pages. And we got to interview a ton of different companies. One batch was just kind of looking at what was new and and what was interesting that we thought would be interesting to our audiences, but also winners of the Caliber Awards.
Ooh, yeah, explain that.
Yeah, so one of the things they do at NASGW, because we are planning for next year, but we're also kind of looking back on this year now that we're sort of the tail end of the year, and they're going, what was the top handgun, top optic, top ammo category? And they vote on it, and these are the winners. So we interviewed them on their win, talked with a bunch of different companies, just coming to mind. Winchester, they brought out the 350 Legend cartridge this year, which, you know, you kind of go, gosh, I just geek out on new cartridges. And this was a straight wall, obviously 35 caliber
for lever action.
Lever action, but they're loading it in bolt action. They're doing it in ARs.
People are putting it in everything now.
And one of the big where areas where it's popular is states where you have to hunt with a straight wall cartridge, like Ohio and some of those other places.
Huge.
This is I think better ballistics than a 30-30, but similar to that type of performance.
In that ballpark, exactly right. You know, for people who say, okay, I don't really want to go shoot a 45-70, I don't want something that big.
Right. But I don't want to have to shoot a pistol like a 357 Magnum, which can get it done on deer, but I want something maybe a little bit better.
Yeah, and it's weird because you think, okay, it's essentially the same ballistics, close to it of a 30-30, but you can't use a 30-30 because it's not a straight wall cartridge.
Yep.
Right?
So some of the state-to-state laws, you know, if you really look at them on paper, you go, man, we are just so arbitrary about this. It's so strange.
There's no rhyme or reason to a lot of it. And I always think, well, look, if you have put a limit on how many deer people can shoot, all right, why do you really care what they use?
Right.
You know, if you say, okay, we're going to take 50,000 deer.
The biologists did their study. They said, these are the number of the deer we need to take. Then who cares?
Right. But, you know,
to a certain degree.
To a certain degree. But I guess probably by regulating the type, you know, they also think they're going to regulate the number. But frankly, in some of these places like Ohio, traditionally the whole deal was, well, we have people everywhere, and I don't want you using really long-range rifles. And originally, in some of these places, all you could use was shotguns.
Yes, you still have some states that are shotgun specific.
So this was actually an improvement to be able to use the straight wall cartridge.
Along those lines, another company we had on was CVA.
Yeah.
And you probably,
Connecticut Valley Arms.
Connecticut Valley Arms, and probably no one knows them as that. It's just CVA now.
Right.
But known for doing muzzle loaders. They have a muzzle loader that we interviewed them about that is basically a long-range muzzleloader. They are shooting deer at 300, 350 yards with a muzzleloader. Yeah, 45 caliber bullet going.
Whoa.
But I mean, this is kind of crazy because you go, okay, muzzleloader, it's primitive rifle
Short
season.
range. No,
because, you know, for people who are avid into hunting, muzzleloader is another opportunity to maybe get an extra week in the season or get a tag when, you know, it's easier to get a tag for muzzleloader perhaps, depending on where you are, what state, what zone.
Okay, so you interviewed CVA about that?
We talked to CVA about that, and all these videos are on our YouTube and Facebook pages.
I was just going to say, when we talk about these, we'll run through in just a second a lot of kind of what you saw and give people just the highlights of those. But all these videos are available right now.
Yes.
On our YouTube channel?
Yes. Okay. We talked with Sig Sauer about their P365 SAS, which we've talked about a bit, and that's a neat gun for concealed carry. One of the companies that we spoke with, and sometimes it's fun because they say, we're going to bring some new products, and maybe they don't tell you, and they surprise us.
Right. They just come and sit down and put it on the table, and you go, what is that?
One of the companies we spoke with was Venturi. Venturi is a part of Pyramid Air. It's for the air gun world.
High-end air gun.
High-end air gun stuff. One of the products they brought was a crossbow that, you know, if you think about PCP air guns, pre-charged pneumatic, they use, you know, small, little high-pressure, like scuba tank type of pressure, but small, to power their air guns. Well, they do the same thing with this crossbow in cocking and uncocking the crossbow. The crossbow still functions like a crossbow.
Okay.
But to cock it, you just push a button.
Because that's always been one of the hard parts is you got a 120-pound pull on a crossbow.
Exactly.
Trying to get that thing cocked, and they have wheels and levers and everything else.
So and it's honestly a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah, it is.
You go, oh, gosh.
So they actually use pneumatic pressure to cock it.
Yeah, and you can decock it.
Oh.
You go,
okay.
you know what? Didn't shoot anything. Just push the button. Lets off the tension. It's really neat.
That is slick.
Yeah.
All right, hold that thought here. I need to take a quick break here. We're talking with Ryan Gresham from Gun Talk Media, and the videos are all on the Gun Talk Media YouTube channel?
Yes, YouTube, Facebook, Roku, all the other digital video places we go. If you look up Gun Talk Media.
Just look for Gun Talk Media wherever you go. Okay. We're going to, when we come back, we have some other new guns to tell you about, some things that we saw. Can't tell you about everything we saw, but we have some new things to tell you about. And if you want to join us, 866-TALK-GUN. I'm Tom Gresham. This is Gun Talk.
For more than 70 years, Timney Triggers has been enhancing the shooter's experience. Whether it's a local competition, a day at the range, or even the hunt of a lifetime. Setting the standard in aftermarket triggers, Timney is now producing more than 170 models of triggers for bolt-action rifles, shotguns, AR rifles, and semi-automatic rifles. Proudly made in the USA since 1946. Find your new trigger at TimneyTriggers.com.
Brownells.com is your home for all things firearms. Looking for a retro rifle? How about the BRN 180 or 180S? Named one of SHOT Show's best products of 2019. Visit Brownells.com for guns, ammo, reloading equipment, or anything you need to customize your firearm. And enjoy the industry's only guaranteed forever satisfaction policy. To stay up to date with the latest and best deals from Brownells, text BRN to 556-223.
Hi, this is Tom Gresham from Gun Talk. America is losing critical wildlife habitat at a rate of one football field every hour. It's happening on the Louisiana coast, but it's critical to all sportsmen and conservationists. These precious wetlands provide winter habitat for more than 10 million ducks and geese annually, waterfowl that migrate north through dozens of states. Don't shrug it off. Get involved. You can help. Visit vanishingparadise.org.
FN, the world's most battle-proven firearms. You want to reach for history, for greatness. So reach for the FN57, a 5.7 millimeter pistol built with the DNA of over a century of legendary FN firearms. And now, it's within reach at your local firearms dealer. The FN57 is the perfect combination of accuracy and stopping power. FN, the world's most battle-proven firearms.
All right, back with the 866-TALK-GUN. We're talking with Ryan Gresham from Gun Talk Media, just back from Orlando at the NASGW, the National Association of Sporting Goods Wholesalers. It is the distributors. There are, Ryan, 2-3 dozen distributors probably, something like that?
Yeah, I think it's somewhere between 20 and 30, somewhere in that ballpark.
Okay, and that's basically the companies that sell to them. They become the middlemen, but also from the standpoint of a gun store, they become this massive warehouse. So a local gun store says, well, I can't stock 1,000 guns.
Right.
I can't put that much money into inventory, but I am 1 or 2 days away from a warehouse that has all of that.
And that's what's in it for the shooter, the hunter, is your local, Bob's gun shop. It may have 1,500 square feet, but if he works with a few of these distributors, he literally has a warehouse of thousands, tens of thousands of guns at his fingertips, and they are a day or two away from getting it for you. Right. Okay, so you set up this booth. You're doing these live videos, Facebook, YouTube, all of that throughout this 3-day period, and you've got these gun companies coming in one after another, showing you cool stuff, what's new, the things they can talk about. Right. So give us an idea of just some of the things you looked at. So some of the videos we did, I mentioned CVA's Paramount rifle, Air Venturi. Well, another thing they brought over were a partnership they did with Springfield Armory of basically replica air guns. Oh. So they're shooting pellets or BBs depending on the configuration. So they have that. We talked with Franklin Armory about their Reformation gun. It's not a rifle. It's not a shotgun. It's a firearm. It's a firearm. It's kind of a weird little tricky thing. Kind of like where the Shockwave fell in that ballpark of not a shotgun rifle or whatever. Because the rifle you have to go down the rabbit hole of
definitions and things. Yeah,
but basically there's no rifling in the barrel.
It's a smooth bore.
So it's a smooth bore, so it's considered a shotgun, so it can be different, shorter barrel and some of that stuff.
Okay.
And so we talked with them. We also looked at Samson Manufacturing, which we haven't talked about a lot on the show, but they're kind of one of those companies that do a lot behind the scenes. They work with a lot of companies.
When you pull back the cover, you go, holy cow, you guys are a lot bigger than I thought.
They're doing something fun. Now, listen up. You're going to love this. Do you remember the TV show, The A-Team?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, with Mr. T and Face and everybody,
yes. They're doing an A-Team gun, the Ruger Mini 14 that they had on the show. They're doing a real version of that, and I actually worked with Ruger to get the castings and all that stuff.
Yeah? So
they're doing an A-Team Mini 14.
Oh, cool.
Which is pretty fun. And we actually had fun on that video. You got to watch Dave Biggers and I. We're trying to drop in as many A-Team references and catchphrases as we can.
I pity the fool.
Yes, exactly. I love it when a plan comes together.
Yeah.
Mantis X. Mantis X is one of these companies that's a little different. They do these training products, and they keep adding to their repertoire and improving it.
They're there to help you become a better shooter.
Yes, exactly.
That's what they do through technology. Yeah.
We had Ruger talking about the Security 9 Pro, and Smith Wesson on talking about their M&P 2.0. They keep expanding on that M&P line of guns.
Yeah, and now it's the Shield 2.0. They got that. You got the Compact 2.0. Each time it gets a little bit better. They've improved the trigger. They've done some different texture patterns on it. It's like you look at it and you go, well, I don't see the difference. And you pick it up and you go, okay, now I get it. All right, that's pretty cool.
And, along those lines, there are a lot of new guns and new products coming out, and there'll be a lot coming out soon. There's a lot of, January 1 launches, even before SHOT Show. And we put out a lot of content about this. It's funny to me how a lot of people, maybe I shouldn't say a lot, some people will comment on this stuff saying, meh.
Yes.
You haven't touched it. You haven't shot it.
First time they've heard about it, and they always give you that. Well, that's not a big deal. I don't think I would ever want that. That doesn't appeal to me. And you go, but we've shot it.
Yeah.
Frankly, and I understand there are products that we'd said the same thing about.
Sure.
The P365 SAS comes to mind.
Right.
SIG brings that in. You look at that and you're going, okay, you put a red dot kind of sight in the back of it, big deal. And then you go out to the range and you shoot. And you go, holy smoke! Now I get it.
I had a gun like that a couple of years ago, the FN 509. They brought out the FN 509, and honestly,
it looks like a Me Too product.
I just kind of went, okay, it's a polymer gun. I don't know. Yeah. We got out to the range and shot it, and it was hard to explain, but I went, this is just a pleasure to shoot. I like this gun. And sometimes you just have to get your hands on it and actually put some rounds down range.
To your point, though, guys, gals, take our word for it. When we've been out there shooting it, we're not going to go gaga over something that's kind of a Me Too thing. We may talk about it's got features and all, but if you hear us going, this is really cool, you might want to pay attention because some of the stuff really is pretty cool, but you just can't tell until you get it in your hand.
And there are more good products than bad products being put out there these days, for sure.
Well, the competition is so stiff right now. So what else did you look at?
We spoke with DoubleStar about their strong arm brace, and they have basically an AR-10, a new AR-10 platform gun. That's pretty cool. So they're doing some neat stuff. And then you have these companies who you may not have heard of, or they're just not as big as some of the others, but they're bringing out a lot of interesting things. KJ walked the show floor. Steyr has a rifle that they basically have a bipod built into the stock. Push a button and the little legs come out, so you've got a bipod built in. That's kind of neat. Gilboa, I may be saying that wrong, but they've got a really, really different, the AR that we saw, that's two ARs put together side by side, two barrels,
it looks like
two trigger mechanisms.
Two ARs side by side. Yeah. Originally, they made it with one trigger because they're Israeli, and they said this would be the smart way to go. But the guy came over here, and ATF says, "Oh no,
that's a machine gun.
That's a machine gun in the U.S." So okay, so they put two triggers on. You pull both triggers at the same time, though.
You can, or you can choose not to. It's a strange thing.
Yeah, but it's kind of neat. Attention. It's fine. You look at that.
Different.
It's one of those whiplash deals. You start walking by the booth, you go, "Whoa, what was that?"
Yeah, and then we also kept walking by this booth, and it kept turning our heads. Wooks gun stocks.
Yeah.
And they have this background. They're an Italian, I guess, parent company is Italian. They have this background in doing gun stocks for decades, and they know that world. And they said, you know what? We've been making kind of regular gun stocks, working with a lot of manufacturers and cranking them out, 600,000 gun stocks a year.
Holy cow.
But let's do something for us that would be kind of our Ferrari to the Fiat version. You know, let's make this really, really neat stuff. So WOOX, Wooks, that was another company that had some neat stuff out there.
Also, there are some things coming that will be announced before SHOT Show. We're not quite able to talk about yet. We're talking about new guns, actually new calibers, new cartridges.
Oh, yeah.
And people say, well, the world doesn't need a new cartridge. I say that every time, and then I look at it and go, well, that's kind of cool.
Well, but some of the stuff that's happening now is it's not just we're squeezing it bigger or smaller to make a bigger bullet or whatever. They're using new technology, and I can't say too much.
What if you could use new technology to have pressures higher than you were able to have before through the use of new technology and achieve velocities that
you couldn't do before.
Yeah. And at this point, we're probably almost over the line of what we could talk about.
Yeah, that's about it. That's all we can say. But there'll be some really neat stuff happening in a couple months from now. You know, start looking January 1st, and there'll be a few even before then.
And we'll have them on all of our outlets, right? Our media.
Yes, we are efforting to make sure we have content for all that when it drops.
And we're in a couple of weeks, we're going to be shooting some video with an important company about an incredibly important product that's going to turn people's heads completely 360 degrees around, right?
Yes, they're going to be excited. It's going to be cool.
No, they're going to be out of their freaking minds about it.
Yeah.
Very cool. Anyway, tell them where to see our stuff.
So you can find Gun Talk content on YouTube, Facebook, Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, guntalk.com, and
don't forget the Guns and Gear is running right now.
Guns and Gear is still on the air on Sportsman Channel, on Wild TV, and expanding all the time.
That's right. There you go. And we'll have more news as we invent it.
That's right.
Because we're like CNN. We make this stuff up. Oh, wait, that's not quite right.
Not all the time.
We're actually better than that. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it, man.
All right. Thanks.
All right. 866-TALK-GUN. We're open lines. If you'd like to join us, give me a holler right now. Just call me at Tom Talk Gun. Well, because that's what we do.
Good morning, Mr. Gresham. Your mission, should you decide to accept it, is to host a radio show that will bring truth and common sense to the discussion of firearms rights in this country. Good luck, Tom, to you and your Tom Gresham's Gun Talk team.
We were talking about going to the NASGW show, Sporting Goods Wholesaler show, a couple of weeks ago in Orlando. And while I was there, I went to a dinner, and the speaker was Allison Levine. Interesting lady. If you saw her, you'd think, oh, she's a nice, attractive lady, maybe 5'4". And normally I wouldn't give all kinds of these kind of characteristics, but basically you'd say maybe 110 pounds, you know, not particularly athletic looking. And then you find out she's actually, in my book, what I would call a super athlete. Because Allison Levine, she gave a great talk comparing her career in adventure sports to running a business and working in business. But it's interesting. You never know where you're going to get inspiration or a thought or an idea to share. Now, just to give you an idea, one of the things she did is called the Adventure Grand Slam, and it's climbing the highest peak in every continent and going to the North and South Poles. So yeah, climbing the highest peak on every continent, including Everest, okay, and then going to the South Pole and North Pole, walking and pulling a 110-pound sled. And in the middle of her talk, she said something that, and there were all these little phrases and things that kind of make you think, and she was very good. But she said something that I thought, well, that's perfect for what we talk about here. And because she was talking about being on a mountain and how dangerous it is. And she said, you know, once you get above 26,000 feet, even on oxygen, when you take a step, you have to take 5 to 10 breaths. And then you can take another step. And the first time she tried Everest, she got within 400 feet of the summit and had to turn back. It's a 2-month adventure. It's a 2-month effort to do Everest, no matter what. And then to have to take her crew, and she was the head of an all-women expedition, and turn around because a storm was coming in. But she said something that was interesting, and I offer it for your consideration. And she said, complacency will kill you. And of course, she's talking about being on a mountain or being in these extreme environments. And I immediately took that and spun it around what we talk about all the time. With firearms safety, complacency will kill you. A momentary lapse in where you point your muzzle, a momentary lapse in where your trigger finger is, a momentary lapse in is this gun loaded or is it not? How do I treat it? Can kill you or someone else. A momentary lapse, complacency that is. Complacency is not paying attention to where you're going, not paying attention to what's going on around you, not having situational awareness. Or as Colonel Jeff Cooper created for us this incredibly useful tool, his color code. White is when you're at home, basically not having to worry about anything, the doors are locked. But the moment you step out of your home, you should be in condition yellow, which simply means you're not scared, you're not paranoid, but you are aware. You're seeing what's going on. Your radar is up. And you can maintain yellow all day long. You cannot maintain red or black or wherever the next one is, because I've seen different colors. But yellow you can maintain. And so what I've done, I think I've mentioned it, is I put a piece of yellow tape on the steering wheel, right in the middle of the steering wheel of my car. And I put a piece of yellow tape on the inside of my front door. So when I leave my home, the last thing I see is a piece of yellow tape. And that is my reminder to get yourself into condition yellow. Start paying attention. I tell people, and it doesn't seem to, I don't know if it's having any effect, but when you're driving, you better be in condition yellow, not just for firearm stuff, but just for everything. You have only one job when you're driving. That's to get there safely. Not to talk on the phone, not to talk to the person next to you, certainly not to get wherever you're going on time necessarily. Your only job is to complete the trip safely, and that doesn't actually mean getting to your destination, always. There could come a time when you say, you know what, we're not going to make it there today, for whatever reason. And that's okay too, as long as you keep everybody safe. Complacency will kill you. Are you aware of what's going on around you when you're walking, when you're talking, when you're, are you looking at your phone as you're walking? Do you have those stupid earbuds in your ears, the sensory deprivation device? I was meeting a friend yesterday in an airport, and she's standing where we're supposed to meet, and I'm walking up behind her, and I just see her standing there, and I'm talking to her and kind of calling to her, and realized when I got up there, she hadn't heard me at all. She has her earbuds in, and she's listening to something. She's got, Pandora or something running. Sensory deprivation device. What if there had been an emergency? What if something had happened down the way, and your first warning is the sound of gunfire or an explosion or a fire alarm or whatever, and you shut yourself off? That's a form of complacency, isn't it? What do you do, and what do you tell your family members about situational awareness, about being in the moment? And have you ever had somebody push back and just say, well, you're just a little paranoid, you're just a little crazy, or I just don't understand why you're afraid all the time? I would love to hear that if you have that kind of experience. Our number is 866-TALK-GUN. We got Ken, we got John. We're going to get to you when we come back. We do have room for you if you'd like to join us, looking for your range reports, or how do you maintain situational awareness? How do you avoid complacency? Tom Gresham here. Be right back.
This is Jeff with Black Hills Ammunition. Shooters looking for ultimate performance in 300 blackout will be pleased with our new 110 grain tip TSX load. This round performs well through tough barriers such as car doors and windshields, making it a great choice for police patrol rifles. It also provides superior performance on whitetails and monster hogs. This round is a great all-around terminal performer. Black Hills Ammunition, the power of performance.
Mental health and guns. At Walk the Talk America, we are working with both the mental health community and the gun industry. Created by a gun industry veteran, Walk the Talk America seeks to raise awareness and create change through suicide prevention and firearm safety without legislation. We strive to eliminate the prejudice that firearms and mental health face. For more information and to support Walk the Talk America, please visit walkthetalkamerica.org.
Since 1937, Ducks Unlimited has led the charge on wetlands and waterfowl conservation. Wetlands reduce the effects of flooding and recharge our drinking water, but perhaps most importantly, they allow us to experience what makes the outdoors so great. Band together to rescue our wetlands.
Want your next gun purchase to be fast and hassle-free? Well, at galleryofguns.com, you can search through thousands of models from our huge firearms inventory. Find a great offer from a local dealer that includes all fees and taxes. And there's no need to arrange a transfer. Gallery of Guns takes a small deposit on your credit card, and your gun will be at your chosen dealer in as little as 48 hours. Plus, your gun will be covered by our guaranteed lifetime replacement warranty. Galleryofguns.com. Search, find, buy. It really is just that easy.
Just cool. We've been doing this giveaway for the last month. We call it the Legal Everywhere giveaway. Well, it's over. You cannot enter anymore. It's over. But very cool. $7,300 in prizes. Colt competition pistol, Walther P22, and 3,000 rounds of RWM ammo. Prize packs from Axion Optics, Crossbreed holsters, DeSantis Proper, and Timney triggers. And you know what's cool about it? Because a lot of the stuff we have giveaways on in certain states, you can't own it. You can't win it. Yeah. Scott M. won all of this, and he lives in Stockton, California. And Scott, you can get it all because it's the Legal Everywhere giveaway. Okay, next giveaway is coming up. Not ready right now. Don't go there. November 8th is when it will start at guntalk.com/win. While you're over there, take a look at our website. Also go to shopguntalk.com for our cool hats and videos and instructional manuals. And if you get a chance, grab a copy of Tiger McKee's The Book of Two Guns. It is a spectacular book. It's a landmark book, I think. All right, line 2. Ken is with us out of Shreveport, Louisiana. Hello, Ken. You're on Gun Talk. How can we help you?
Hey, Tom. About 10 years ago, I bought my wife a used Winchester Model 100 automatic 308 caliber.
Mm-hmm.
And we were hunting in Colorado, and she shot a deer. And she didn't know it at the time, but my buddy was standing off the side. He said, your gun fired twice. She said, no, it didn't. But I went up there, and sure enough, there were 2 bullet holes in the deer.
Oh, okay.
I took it to a gunsmith and explained to him what had happened, and left it with him, and he couldn't find anything wrong with it. He cleaned it real good, and he couldn't get it to double fire.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then the next year I was sighting it in, and it double fired again, and I got to get rid of this thing.
Well,
have you heard anything about?
Well, here's the deal. Way back many years ago, there was a recall on those rifles, and it involved the firing pin. And I don't know if that rifle has had the recall work done on it yet. And what it says is, I'm looking it up right now, it says if you shoot it without this firing pin replaces, the bolt may not close properly, and it may double fire or may shoot all 4 shots like a machine gun. So you may have that issue. I've got a phone number here, and it's kind of an old one, and it may still be good if you want to scribble it down. I don't know if you've got anything to write with. It's an 800 number, 800-852-5855. 5734.
5734, okay.
Right. Give them a holler, get the serial number, call them, and see if you can find out. And if not that, then contact Winchester Firearms and find out what is necessary, what needs to be done in terms of complying with this recall. Chances are that's going to take care of it, because that's a real nice rifle. You know, that's the rifle in .308 that I shot my first deer with when I was 11 years old. So I have a special place in my heart for that Winchester Model 100.
Yeah, well, my wife was 65 years old when I bought it for her, and she loved it. It was just a perfect rifle for her. But then when all this other started, we switched over to a 6mm. So
yeah, it's best to put that thing aside. Don't shoot until you check and get the recall work done. Now, what's this? I'm looking at a note here about you knew my dad.
That's true. I worked at the airport in Shreveport, and I used to see him almost every week whenever he'd fly,
Sure.
fly out.
He was flying all the time.
Yes, and we, got to talking to him. I mean, he's well known and all, and enjoyed talking to him. And he had a book that came out called, Grits on Guns.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, I purchased that, and lo and behold, 2 days ago, I gave my library of guns and hunting and all of that to Boone and Crockett Club. We had
cool.
We had that our 30th Big Games Award back in August.
Right.
And anyway, I found this book, and I was looking at it, and he had written a note in there. But then when he autographed it, I noticed the number on the book. It was 1 of 1,000.
Oh, you got number 1?
I got number 1, and I'd like to give it to you.
Well, that would be terrific. I tell you what, don't hang up. When we finish our call, we'll give you an address, and we'll get you to send that. That's terrific, Ken. I appreciate that very much. I actually published that book for Dad. The Grits on Guns it's a wonderful book with lots of wonderful stories.
Yes, and it's in new condition. Yeah.
That is terrific. Well, I appreciate that. We'll find a special place for it. We may find a way to donate that or do an auction or a raffle or something and use the funds to do some good, okay?
There you go. Sounds great.
All right. Don't hang up, Ken. We're going to put you on hold. And then, Michelle, I'll get you an address to give to Ken in just a minute here. Let's see. We got John on 5. Let's get him in here real quickly. Hey, John, in Lodi, California, what'd you buy?
Hey. So I bought a Beretta 92 FS Brigadier.
Nice.
And normally I like to shoot a gun before I bought it. I bought this one solely on the way it felt in my hands. I was wondering if you had any experience with them.
Well, you're not going to go wrong. Well, first, you did the right thing. If it feels good in your hands, you're about 98% of the way there. Honestly, you really are. And then you got the other 1% on top of that, which is you bought a Beretta, which is a quality firearm. They've been used all over the world, and they are terrific guns. And so it is highly unlikely that you're going to not like this gun. It feels good in your hands, and you bought a high-quality, well-known brand. The problem with it is it's only going to last about 100 years. So I don't know what you're going to do with that, man.
Right, only 100 years.
Only 100 years, exactly right. No, you're going to love it. I tell you what I would like for you to do, if you would. When you get it and you go out and shoot it, give me a call back and let me know what you think, okay?
I'd love to. As soon as my 10-day waiting period's up because of the great state I'm in, I'll be able to do that.
There you go. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'd love to get a range report on that 92. It is, it's a really solid firearm, and obviously the U.S. military used 92s for a long time as their official handgun. All right, 866-TALK-GUN is our number. If there's something on your mind, a gun you want to tell me about, a gun you want to ask me about, or a gun that you really hated and you're so glad you got rid of it, I would love to know about that. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I did have one of those, as a matter of fact. Loved it. Couldn't hit anything with it. Craziest thing. Never could hit anything. And finally, it just had to go belong to somebody else. 866-TALK-GUN. Well, you probably heard the news. Robert Francis, Beto O'Rourke, has dropped out of the race for president. I'll have some thoughts about that in the next hour. His role is not insignificant. His role what he did was important. And I kind of have some thoughts on that I'd like to share with you. Also, coming up, we'll be talking with some of the folks who were at the D.C. gun rally, the Second Amendment rally in Washington, D.C. yesterday. You'll have some news about that as well. Right now, I want to talk just for a second. Oklahoma, new law, permitless carry, constitutional carry, takes effect, or actually, it took effect on November 1. I think that may be, is it 17 states now that have constitutional carry where you do not have to have a permit, you don't have to ask anybody's permission, you don't have to say, Mother, may I, to exercise your constitutionally guaranteed right to keep and, bear arms. Interesting. There were a lot of efforts to stop this. There were a lot of efforts to repeal it, to rescind it, to turn it around, to toss it out. It didn't happen. And here's the thing. For all those who go, yeah, but what if? But what if? But what? Give me a break. We got 25 years of you guys saying, what if? As we were getting concealed carry permits, the laws were passed in state after state after state over a 25-year period, every single time. Every time it was discussed, it was, but what if? What if somebody loses their mind? What if somebody gets road rage? What if? And each time it passed, in each state, a year or two later, there would be a small story on page B12 of the local paper that said, so-and-so sheriff said he's been surprised. There have been absolutely no issues with concealed carry. And now they're saying, yeah, but this is a case where you're actually people who are not even required to take training. They don't have to have safety training. They don't have to have legal training. I know. And guess what? We no longer have to say what if because we now know what is. And what is that in the states where this is passed, crime has not gone up. Bad shoots have not gone up. Gee, why would that be? Oh, because the only people who were waiting for this were the good guys, because the bad guys were already carrying their guns, because they don't care that they're breaking the law. It's a simple concept. The bad guys break the laws. So who was obeying the law that says you can't carry a gun without a permit? The good guys. And now they can. And guess what? They're still the good guys. So let's stop with the whole what if. Constitutional carry makes sense. And yes, please understand, I encourage everybody to get training because you will simply be better. You'll be better at recognizing problems. You'll be better at avoiding problems. You'll be better at getting away from problems. And, if you make mistakes in this stuff, this is serious business. I just had a report of somebody who got charged with murder because he was shot a robber in the back as a robber was running away. You can't do that. Yeah, but he robbed me. Yep, call your insurance company. Yeah, but he might. No, he is not a threat. And that's where your training comes in. So even if you're not required to take the training, it would be really smart to take the training. And oh yeah, by the way, if you have a good class, you will have a ball taking the training. But yes, constitutional carry, spreading across the country. Don't have to ask permission to exercise a constitutionally guaranteed right. Amazing stuff, huh? In fact, when we come back, let's talk about people who carry guns, use guns for self-defense. And yeah, you know what? There's another level of protection you might want to have in addition to your firearm, your extra mag, and your light, something you may need if you absolutely get into one of these situations. Our number, 866-TALK-GUN. I'm Tom Gresham.